Hey guys, GGX Magic here, and this is my Detonate Dead Volatile Dead Trapper. I guess first off, what we have is we have Chance to Ignite, Trap Support, Trap and Mine, Cluster Traps, Detonate Dead. Long story short, Detonate Dead is going to be massive upfront damage, but at the end of the day, our best option is really going to be Volatile Dead. I really hate to say it, but the 3% damage it does to everyone in the area when the corpse explodes is pretty much like at interior maps. That plus the X to Y fire damage is just way higher, and that, you know, the X to Y fire damage from Volatile Dead is actually every ball that comes from every corpse around you, so it sadly out damages Detonate Dead. Anyways, cluster traps on that, trapping my damage and control destruction. Then we kind of run cluster traps with, you know, Desecrate. It has to be done. I was going to run a K-Surge, but I'm a fucking idiot, and this doesn't actually work, so rip. Val Lightning Trap, Clarity, and Ellie Focus. This that's just leveling up. Clarity and Val Lightning Trap. So you kind of have two slots open there. You get a Curse on Hit, Flammability, Increased Crit Strikes, and Orb of Storms. Orb of Storms is the fucking GOAT for this build. Helps you with Equilibrium, gives you the Flammability proc. You don't have to run a Blasphemy on the build, and trust me, you get plenty of penetration from everything else in this on the build that you don't need to run Fire Pen. You can run Fire Pen before you pick up your third Ascendancy, so I do recommend, if you want, you can run Fire Penetration. If you're doing Shaper, run Fire Penetration, so yeah. Then we run 4 to 5 faster attacks and Shield Charge. Hands down, no reason you don't run Shield Charge. You get the Fortify because when you're running a build like this, you have really kind of mediocre EHP, and so when you're shield charging, the Fortify is going to help. You're going to be dodging a lot, but when you finally get hit, you want to be fortified. So that's kind of the skills there. To be totally fair, the way you play is pretty easy. You Desecrate, and then you throw your Volatile Deads. The Volatile Deads are the go-to ones for clearing. The Detonate Deads, to be totally fair, are really there in case you get into a situation where you need to throw like multiple traps, i.e. bossing. So when you're bossing, you want to throw both traps. The uniques we use are Tinkerskin. Tinkerskin is actually pretty good in this build. We are not like going hybrid or anything, but it fucking helps. I have to say, the energy shield we have, although it's not a lot, does help. The energy shield, the life, and the mana kind of brings us up to like a total of like 6.2 or 3k EHP. So I mean, it's fine. With Phase Acrobatics, it's pretty decent EHP, but in general, it's not very good. So we actually need some way to get our life back. The mana is coming back by Clarity, but Tinkerskin is great because every time traps are triggered, this is also good in lab, you're going to get a lot of life back. The Frenzy Charges are really a bonus. Like I decided not to go super hard into Frenzy Charges. It's not that I don't like them if they're not good. It's just that we need to chase a lot of fucking life around, and you just can't be running for like the Frenzy Charges on the tree. You kind of take a hit. So I mean, if you really want, you could kind of go down this way, get this Frenzy Charge generation, Frenzy, Link there, and then you can also get this. And there's some life here. I'm going to really experiment more with this tree, but I just kind of ran with this. This wasn't even planned. Besides that, then you've got these really sick gloves. So I got lucky. At the beginning of the league, nobody really knew what these were worth, and this one's probably not worth much either, but I picked this up because it had level 20 trap in it, a solid life, and I crafted a res on it, and the mana helps too. So this is pretty good. To be fair, you just need any crappy shaper unique with level 20 trap on it, and you can run a 5-link. So we're actually running 2 5-links. At the end of the day, when I do get a 6-link, this will be a 6-link, and I'll probably swap Volatile Dead into it. And probably add Conk Effect. That would be a shit ton of damage. But anyways, we're using a Stygian belt. This is a pretty shitty belt. I actually ran with this pretty much since like level 50-ish. And then we're running Praxis. Optional, but as much mana regen that, like, we don't get much mana regen in general, so Praxis is really good. I just recommend Praxis for general use. And then the rest aren't uniques, but I highly recommend you run something like this. So actually, initially, I'm really up until like level 85 or something like that. Where is it? I was running a Kongming Stratagem, which is a pretty decent item. Now that they've changed it, originally this item used to give your socketed trap a chance to trigger a fog, like a cloud of smoke. Yeah, that was absolute shit. So now it's trigger level 20 Fog of War when your trap is triggered. And just to kind of show you, it's just a smoke cloud. There's something crazy about it. But it has a 3-second cooldown. What does this mean? We're a trapper. We throw Desecrate before we throw anything else. So throwing Desecrate initially, what that's going to cause to occur is a smoke cloud that will protect you and blind enemies before you start throwing your traps. It also has a pretty sick mod where you take reduced damage from blinded enemies. That means it gets an enemy that is blinded, you have 30% damage reduction. So this is a really underrated unique for this type of build. Yeah, it's not like a massive ES or life boost to your character, but 30 damage reduction is pretty solid. And you also get a little bit of increased damage there. But you can't block with it, but we're phase, so we don't fucking block. So yeah, this is a pretty sick shield. I love this shield. It looks pretty sweet too. So I mean, that's kind of it. But we're running this now. This is actually pretty serious. The massive evasion you get from this makes a massive difference, and of course you get the life. But the real idea is you getting a hybrid ES and evasion and the life makes such a big fucking difference with this build. As you can see, just putting that in really increases our life and energy shield. It's just a big difference. And at the end of the day, the little bit of dodge, every little bit of dodge you get is worth tons of evasion. So yeah. And then besides that, we're just using this corrupted guy here and some rings with life and ES on them, so nothing crazy. This scepter here, it's really nothing like crazy. It's like 106 fire damage, or spell fire damage. I got X to Y on it, and what I wanted to do for the longest time, but like never ended up doing, was crafting attack speed on this, which I recommend since we're shield charging. And if you're cooler than I am, you definitely want to not just craft attack speed on these, but you also want to make sure your shield charge is a high enough level and you have enough strength to support it. Your boy was just lazy as fuck and just didn't want to really go in gear for that. But yeah. And then moving on to the skill tree, we are running very basic trap setup here. This should be going away so I can get this frenzy charge. But like, I actually, before we go into that, I tried hybrid ES mind over matter with this build. This build relies heavily on running around and not getting hit. You could probably do it with enough evasion, but it's an absolute bitch to get enough evasion on this build with the number of things we use that are kind of unique. But you could try. I just don't recommend it. I actually got to like about 7.5k EHP. Like, it wasn't good evasion, to be fair. It really wasn't good at all. And you have to sacrifice this. So I mean, I don't recommend it. But if you've got the money and you can make it work, you can use like a vertex and all that good stuff. You'll do a little better. But I really didn't die much. I've died to Elder because he was an asshole. And some of the new Guardians, actually all the Guardians were quite a breeze, except for the physical guy. He was a piece of shit. But anyway, I mean, yeah, besides that, we take Mind Over Matter, Elemental Overload, pretty basic stuff. If you were to change, you would drop this, all of this here, and you want to grab this cluster wheel here, Evasion and ES, and then you want to grab these 4 here. Don't grab this, it's not worth it, considering that the Evasion ES actually ends up being a little bit better. At some point you're going to need these two. It's hard as a trapper to keep your stats high. Intelligence just kind of comes with the package, considering we're pathing on this side of the board. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, the skill tree, everything has been good, but I have no complaints about this build. It feels good. I mean, I guess the only thing is that I feel like it's a little bit bottlenecked. I don't think it can really do Shaper or anything of that nature. But it's great. Let me think of anything else. I guess what matters for the build besides this type of stuff is trap trigger radius and trap throwing speed are a big boon to this build. You cannot afford to throw your traps and they don't go off. So things like clusters here that you would normally not take because they're like relatively inefficient, and most trap builds like my previous fire trap build and ice trap and all these other skills, you throw the trap and it normally just goes off, and it's the end of the day because you're throwing like a cluster of traps. One goes off, it's fine. But with a build like this, it's like you need every single one of them to go off. And trust me, trap throwing speed, you almost consider it as cast speed, especially for a build where we're throwing a shit ton of traps. Because like, you're in a fight, you're gonna throw Desecrate first, and then you're going to throw Volatile, Desecrate, maybe Detonate Dead, whatever, and then you're also going to be throwing a Lightning Trap, and you're going to be placing an Orb of Storms. So, like, you know, if when you watch the video I put up earlier, you'll notice that, like, all of that's happening pretty quick. So, you really don't have to take that type of stuff, but it's a massive quality of life and considerable DPS increase. Some things that you don't have to take is this. I mean, I like this just because it gives you the additional trap, which makes a big difference for all the skills we're using. But the trap cooldown is kind of a big deal, as you know. The reason this build even exists, Desecrate is a skill that has a cooldown, and it's required to make any of the corpse skills work. Of course, once you throw a couple of them, then there'll be enough bodies to take out the rest, but as you move along in a map, it's not always the case. Desecrate's cooldown gets overridden by the trap cooldown. So the lower trap cooldown we have, the less we have to worry about Desecrate. At the end of the day, this does come down to being a lot shorter. So yeah, I like it. It's pretty good. I mean, I think this actually is a little longer, actually. Where is it? But you don't have to throw, like you'll throw, for example, you spell cascade it, you're getting 9 corpses. With this, you're getting 3 more than that. So yeah. So a slightly higher cooldown is understandable, and it's kind of sprawled out in a way instead of it having to be like, you know, in a line. So yeah. I was testing Cremation. I'm almost level 20 on this guy. Cremation's pretty good. I really can't complain. Am I almost level 20? Yeah. Cremation's pretty good. It's just it is, you know, limited to how many of them you can have. If I can get the lab enchant, I can test it a little bit better. But if you really want to run it, you can run just multiple traps instead of cluster. So yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the build. Honestly, just make sure you hold on to your stim knife flask and you'll be fine. But besides that, guys, I'm probably going to move on to something different. This is like probably one of my favorite trappers I've ever played, but there's plenty of cool stuff to try out. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned, and I'll see you later.